My name's Adele Onyango and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey you, welcome to episode 211 of Legally Clueless. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome to the family. Audio episodes like this go out every single Monday. And if you go to legallycluelessafrica.com, you'll find our tour series, so you get to travel with us, discovering different spaces that Africans live in and hearing their stories. You can also, on our website, find 3 seasons of our video series, which is pretty awesome. Again, more inspiring African stories. While you're on our website, make sure you sign up to join our community. It's on the homepage, and you'll be able to get monthly letters from me and some of my favorite people. In terms of social media, honestly, you can find us on our Instagram page. A link to that is in the show notes. A link to our YouTube is in the show notes as well. I really neglect our Facebook page, but it's also because my Facebook page for work, like Adele Onyango, I find definitely very many loving people, very many positive people, but there's also very many angry people. So I don't know. I find when it comes to the internet space, tons of vile people on Facebook and on Twitter. And on Instagram, I don't know if it's how I've curated my spaces, but I find Instagram to be more community and just more warmth. You know, I'm not saying everybody has to clap for everything that you do, but amplify more of what you love and less of what you hate. Because if I don't like what you're doing, I can just keep scrolling, you know? Anyway, so I got into like a long explanation, but I've kind of neglected our Facebook page, low-key thinking of closing it and just focusing on our Instagram, but I'm giving it some more thought. If you're an OG member of the family, thank you so much for rocking with us. I truly appreciate you. And in this episode, we're going to be listening to Chika's story. Listen to this.
But then I switched to University of Nairobi to do space and technology. I actually did it for 3 years. On my 3rd year, I was like, where the fuck am I going? You can count. Where the fuck am I going with this course? You know, it's like I was doing something to keep making my dad happy. It was always about him. So my mom got married to my dad, my current father now. Now she became the second wife. And now, man, this was chaotic because I remember when my mom got married, life was not really good. We was living in Mumias, that me and the other family were a total of 8 children because we are 4, the other family 4. We were living happily until my dad just became a millionaire from nowhere. I don't know what happened. And that is just where the problems began.
That is Chika. Her story is coming up in a bit. I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy it. But before we get there, let's listen to the song of the week, which is one of my favorite songs. I feel like this song is, to me, what the Bible is to Christians. Well, it's one of the many songs that's like that for me. I really love this artist. Her name is Jamila Woods. Her music is so poetic, which makes sense because she also writes poetry. So the name of the song is Giovanni, which is named after Nikki Giovanni, a poet, and it's kind of like inspired by a piece that Giovanni did, which is really on like self-worth, and you're just like, as a Black woman, you're really it, right? I love the song. Please check it out. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. And while you're at it, listen to everything and anything Jamila Woods makes. Yeah, I think she's super cool. Okay, before we jump into 100 African stories, I don't want to speak too much in this episode because Chika's story is pretty long and I didn't want to cut it, but I do want to tell you 3 things before we jump into her story. The first one, and these are all things to do with Legally Clueless, which is super awesome. Number 1, you know how we have super awesome digital content workshops? We have a virtual one coming up in April on the 28th. I'm very excited about it because when we did our last workshop, very many people who couldn't physically make it because maybe they're not based in Nairobi, etc. were like, how do we attend? Well, we have a virtual one, 28th of April. Details are going to be up on our website. If you're wondering what the digital content workshops are about, we focus on 3 things, which is building sustainable content. I really want Africans to be able to tell their own stories, talk about issues they want to talk about, create shows that come from an African, you know what I mean? But in doing all of this, you have to know how to build sustainable content. Like, you don't want to start your online based show and then drop off in episode 5 because you didn't at the beginning think about how sustainable the content you're making will be and how can it grow. And so that's a really big part of what our digital content workshop focuses on. So you look at building prep sheets, your target audience, really fleshing that out. And you get a lot of templates that I've built that have helped me with this show, and it can help you as well. Second thing we look at is building community, and then how to build revenue models around your shows so that, again, it's sustainable because, these oil greasing the wheels. I have built this curriculum using 14 years of experience. I got into media when I was 20, started off as a radio presenter at 1FM, moved to Kiss FM, was a radio presenter and produced my show there, one being The Breakfast Show, and then moved to start Legally Clueless. And when Legally Clueless started, it was primarily just this podcast, but now we're a fully fledged business, a new media company, which is super awesome. And I just don't want to gatekeep the knowledge. I want to share that with you. So I want to share these learnings specifically with other Africans, because I think how we change how people view Africans globally is by owning our narrative and our stories and amplifying them on our terms, not somebody else coming to do that for us. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for this particular workshop. I'm happy it's virtual. And to keep updated with the workshop, make sure you sign up to join our community and also join our Instagram community as well. Number 2, our next group therapy session is coming up. I'm really happy about this. It's coming up on the 29th of April. If you missed our last session on loss, you better catch this one. It's also going to be on loss because that's like chapter 1. And then after that, once you've gone through the first group therapy session, the people who have attended those move on to having more group therapy sessions with our therapist. Okay, so we will only ever share the first one, but everybody who comes, we keep in contact with you and invite you for others, because once you've gone through this first one, it's easier to deal with more focused issues afterwards. I hope that makes sense. So if you missed the last group therapy session, the next one is on the 29th of April, so save that date. The last one sold out really fast, so once we put up the ticketing details, make sure you grab your ticket. And yeah, I think this will be super, super fun. I'm looking forward to this. And then the third thing is me asking you to be my accountability partner. Oh wait, let me tell you, this business space comes with so much imposter syndrome and fear of failure. Obviously, I'm not going to let them win because I know what I'm building and I know why I'm doing this. But bro, sometimes it gets like a lot. Now, we're launching our Legally Clueless Africa shop soon. It was really meant to be launched in February, but imposter syndrome and fear of failure is so real. It's so real, my friends. Say, it's so real, but it's not a bad thing because it allowed me to really focus on all the products that we're working on. But I'm sharing this here before the shop is out because I should actually wait until we're launching to share it with you. But I'm sharing it with you because first, we're a community and I want you to ensure you hold me accountable. So if in a month or so I have not mentioned the Legally Clueless Africa shop, please feel free to slide into my DMs and be like, sis, what's up? You say the ABCD, okay? I am inviting you to pressurize me. Does this make sense? Can you help me with that? Thanks. Okay, let's jump into 100 African stories. I met Chika while I was at lunch with a friend. We went to this really healthy restaurant that's right next to a gym. It's the closest I've ever been to a gym. It's actually the gym that Chika works at, and she was in the restaurant doing some work, I believe. Anyway, so we connected. She told me that she listens to the podcast and actually shared a project that she was working on at the time, which they are launching in April. And I am such a sucker for Africans using art to inspire change. And so I'm very happy we connected and I was able to record her story. So this is her story. I hope it inspires you. I'll give you more details on how you can connect with Chika afterwards. 100 African stories on Legally Clueless. Stories from Africa.
My name is Queen. Quinta Ochieng. Many people call me Chika. I mean, it's been my nickname since my childhood. My mom gave it to me for some weird reasons. I think I have backgrounds in Nigeria, I guess. That's what she said. But she said she found the name sexy. So yeah, it's been my nickname all through my life. But anyway, I'm from Bondo. That's where I was born, but raised in like Uganda, Kisumu, and only those places. I'm from the grassroots all my life. Yeah, my mom lives in Bondo. My dad lives in Uganda, some place called Hoima. He has traveled all around towns in Uganda. So yeah, that's basically where I was brought up. My education, most of it was in Kenya. Bondo. So yeah, in Bondo was primary education until, class 8. I was like, funnily, I was very brilliant when I was a kid. I don't know if I'm still, but yeah, when I was a kid. And I passed like super crazy. I was the only one called to Nakuru Girls National School, where I schooled Form 1, Form 2, and 3. Then, pressures are life, pressures and, being stubborn and stuff. So I got an expulsion in Form 3 and then moved to Uganda to stay with my dad. Because then my mom was like, you need to stay close to your dad. Maybe he will put some discipline in your head. I was there for like only 1 year. I think not even 1 year per se. But the funny thing is like, Ugandans and Kenyans, I think we are like steps higher than those guys, not in a bad way. Imagine I left from 3. Okay, yes, in Kenya I had all those leadership skills. I was, of course, a leader even when I was in Nakuru. But when I went to Uganda, all of a sudden I was like the president of school. They have O level and A level. So O level, I was the president of O level within 3 months of arrival from an expulsion. So when I got there, the education system was kind of tricky for me. And that's why after 9 months, I told my dad this. And then my dad insisted if I'm staying in Uganda, I had to go through from 5 and 6. And that was kind of frustrating for me. I was like, people at home will be in campus and stuff. So I told him I want to go back to Nairobi, to Kenya and stay with my mom. So then I came back to Bondo. Then I joined a school in Kisumu, or Senator Obama. And that's where I finished my high school. Again, became the best, weirdly. And then I was called to Kenyatta University to do statics, which was not even none of my interest. I don't know how I ended up getting that course. But then I switched to University of Nairobi to do space and technology. 1 year later, I actually did it for 3 years. On my 3rd year, I was like, where the fuck am I going?
You can count.
Where the fuck am I going with this course? Like the drive, it's like I was doing something to keep making my dad happy. It was always about him. He's like, I want you to do this. And then when we were like growing up, he kept saying, everything you need for education purposes, you'll get it. Anything, as long as it's around education, you'll have it. So when I told him I'm going to do space and technology, he said like, wow, that's my daughter, I'm going to make sure everything comes to you. So actually, in campus, it was more of him and more of what actually, it was a lot of his actions, the things he did that literally also, I think, also tampered with my head and focus of the school and stuff. Because from the beginning, if I can just go back a little, when I was like a young kid, funny thing, I would tell you that my dad, who is my dad I'm referring to right now, is my stepdad, but he's my dad that I know. Because when I was growing up as a kid, my mom told me my father, my biological dad, died in an accident. He was a driver. I don't know if you remember the Ugenya buses that were trending back then. He was one of the drivers. So then my dad married another wife. So my mom was like a second wife. And then there was like a lot of fighting, issues to do with family. And my mom...
Which dad? Your biological
biological dad. And when he died, everything just fell apart. So my sister was left with the step family, and I don't know how I got out of it, and I ended up being with my grandmother, who is my biological dad mother. I stayed with her for a while. My mom came to Nairobi, I think, to hustle, and then after some time, she met now my current dad, and then she came back for us, and my mom was that kind of person who was always stressed about putting us all together, making sure that her children are all together. So she went back, she came for me. She really tried. It was a struggle to get my sister back because the other family had kind of employed my sister to be like kind of their, this crazy step mamas. So she was like a maid or something for them. It was crazy to get her back because even the locations and all that, it was stressful for her, I remember. So my mom got married to my dad, my current father now. And again, she ended up being she alternated. Now she became the second wife. In the other marriage, she was the first wife. So here she became the second wife. And now, man, this was chaotic because I remember when my mom got married, life was not really good. We was living in Mumias then. My dad was working in Mumias as, I think it was just like a beginner stage of working as a contractor. It was not even long after, when your parents have these promises to each other, they're going to stay together. It was a really happy, big family. Me and the other family were a total of 8 children because we are 4, the other family 4. We were living happily. Until my dad just became a millionaire from nowhere. I don't know what happened, but he got a contract. He was called to Tanzania, Arusha, to build a whole factory for sugar. And then he just became rich. And that is just where the problems began. So sometimes they always, these stories where they say sometimes when the money comes, it just comes with problems. And then that was just the beginning of all the clashes and all the fights. And that's why they ended up separating. Okay, it's not like a confirmed separation, but these guys up to date, they are not on good terms. Because then my eldest mom left. The first wife left, and then my mom is still in this situation dealing with the crazy things my dad is dealing with. So I feel for her. I feel for her. Of course, she's my mom. When I was growing up, I had this hate for my mom. I don't know, I'm still healing and dealing with it every day. I think we all deal with these emotions and relationships sometimes. So when I was a child, I didn't understand that the reason why my mom had to leave was to, come and try to find something for us or something that she can come back and, put us somewhere better. I didn't understand then. So I felt like she had left us in that bad situation. My sister is somewhere else. I'm somewhere else struggling with these people who are crazy and she knows it. So I held that one for so long. For so long, I'll tell you, me and my mom, up to date, our relationship is back and forth. We reconcile 6 months. 6 months later, we're not on good terms. I think me and her, we're both still healing from the whole situation. The separation, I felt bad because I was already used to that big family. Some of them were my friends. But then, when you're in a family, you might think they are your friends, but they're not. Because sometimes when you sit down and start having these deep conversations, then in the process you feel like someone is not really the person you thought they'd be, or the fight sometimes trigger things in them, and then it just keeps digging this hole between you two people, and then you just lose it. Up to date, I don't know when was the last time I talked to my stepsisters. The stepbrother visited me was it last year? Yeah. And then they have all these cultural beliefs of, they feel like I don't struggle enough. For me, I think it's just mental. All this stuff changed when I was I think I started believing in my thoughts, believing that when I believe it, I can get it. Manifesting, yes. When I believe it, I can get it. I don't have to work so hard for it. So I think it kind of works for me, yeah. And then they always feel like I don't work hard enough. Maybe there's something I do beyond. Oh, no, Africans. So anytime the brother came to visit me when he was joining first year. And when he came, he was just a good kid. 1-2 months later, they're saying he's a drug addict, or he doesn't want to be in school, or he's, betting. He's into betting and using all the money for betting. And then they said, Chica. He went and visited Chica, the first person he got to Nairobi. So you see, these are narratives that are coming from the other family. So I'm just giving an example of things that really build a diversion of us ever connecting again. And yeah, the separation was never taken easy for both of us because we both blame our families, and or both children blame our mothers. So the other family blames my mother for coming in a marriage that was already existing. Okay, so in uni, while I was still in uni, I think second year, there's a lady I met online. She's called Karen Haze. She's from Canada. So Karen told me, have you ever done anything to do with female mental? Never, ever in my life. And we all struggle with identifying what's our passion, what's our purpose, all those stuffs. So, and then she's like, I do pocket cinema, and I work with iPhone photography. Apple. She works with Apple, but they only focus on iPhone photography. I told her, yeah, I'd be interested. We didn't speak again for like 6 months. I think she didn't. I didn't have the time. I was also trying to focus with school and stuff. So then I bought an iPhone 7, because she had mentioned she only deals with iPhones. And then I texted her again. I told her I got an iPhone. Now let's talk about what you were saying. And then she's like, yeah, I'm going to give you a course. And then she gave me a course through production, simple tools to create an amazing product and content, you know. And then she's like, you can do a full documentary. So she gave me all that. And that's when I started experimenting things an iPhone can do. During that same time, I'm having huge fights with my dad, because now he's not even sending school fees on time. He's having all these delays. And when I talk to my mom is like, you know the reason? Because of whatever he's doing, all the crappy things he's doing. And I'm like, so there's that back and forth. And then this lady tells me, if I teach you this thing, I'm going to use your content to apply for grants. And when the grants come, I'm going to pay you. So then I start, I come up with an idea of doing mini documentaries around activities in Nairobi, things that are happening in school. During that time, you remember my dad is not sending me money on time and stuff. In that shooting process, I attend an event at Go Down Arts. There's a friend of mine called Will I Beats. He had a studio there. He was like the main producer. So I'm recording content and stuff, and this guy looks at the content and is like, hey, this is dope, following the guidelines of my teacher. And he's like, you should come and work for me. I tell him, but I'm part-time in school. And he's like, it's cool, just come. I'm like, so I'll always be creating for you mini videos when you're, creating content. Within no time, this guy made me like his assistant producer or something. So I would step in when he's not in, book his artists and all that stuff. In that process, I think there was like a time where I took like a break from school for like 3 months because my dad had not sent school fees on time. Remember that time, roho yangu, okay, my heart is getting, I'm getting tired of this school thing. The psyche is going down. And now I'm starting to get some pennies from this lady's teachings and creation. I took like a break because he didn't send money on time. So I took, I deferred, pushed my semester to end of the year, September. When I deferred, I focused to work at Go Downs. And I remember that time I didn't talk to my dad for like a year because I was like super mad at him. He kept blaming it on contracts, but I don't know if that's true. I never followed it up, but yeah. So at Go Down Arts, that's where I started learning about community projects, art production, content production, and how literally just something simple can get you paid based on how you see the visuals. So I started attending those seminars, the classes and all that stuff. Then I was just like, at my place, I remember when I was going to the school, if it was not for the call of going to the national school, trust me, I don't know, I always feel like I would still be there. So I started to remember like when I'm coming up with ideas and concepts that we are going to execute, then I started remembering the stuffs people go through in the village. I mean, why did that friend of mine drop out of school? How can I be able to tell their story? How can I just go home and record a documentary and maybe use organizations that are in that community to bring about change? And then remember in like my growing life, I had practiced being like a leader and all that stuff. So I'd go back to my community during the holidays and we have like a break at work. So I go back and I share the whole concept with our local church. This guy, church leader, this guy really liked me. And he's like, we are welcome to your idea. We are going to support you. Do the documentary. We are going to give you, the chief is like a relative at home. He's like, I'm going to write you that, the agreement and approve you to have all the cameras and stuff in the community. So I come back to Nairobi and I get a team of people. They're called Kuza Production. Then I don't know if they still exist. A team of like 8 people. I hire a car and we are going to do a documentary. So in the village, I'm like, how are we going to do this documentary? I remember my sister was part, my small sister, she was like 8. She was part of the documentary as like main character. By there, I didn't even mention when my mom in the village, we used to do fishing. So like we owned 2 boats, one for fish and one for omena. So we would go and then like record the whole process and all that. So we shot a very, very nice documentary. And then we came back to Nairobi to edit this stuff. Process of editing, we have a final product that we're supposed now to sell to sell to these people who buy documentaries. I'm telling you, we had a huge fight with Kuza Productions. I'm telling you, I think from that point, then I think that experience taught me something. You don't need to get into business if you don't, like, you can trust someone, but still, you can have all the write-ups, but still you don't know what someone is doing behind your back. You can never know what these people are doing. Only to find out that I'm telling this guy, submit the documentary to us, and they submitted, yes, but it was not complete. It had their logo at the extreme corner and our logo at the extreme corner, yeah? Well, it was a partnership because the equipment would have been expensive if I had hired. So it was a partnership. The initial agreement was, once this is done, then we do it for this. And these guys went ahead and used our documentaries. They sold it to people. My idea, I sat down. By then, we had not come up with a name of the documentary. So I was like, it's fine. It's okay. They've stolen it. Okay, fine. We got at least some money from it. We got some endorsement from the plan in the village now because we had highlighted some issues that are going on. We had the chief, the local leader. I met this MP during that process. So then the love for community and using art to bring about change, it just started falling in place. And when I came back to Nairobi, it's September, I'm now supposed to go back to school. And I'm like, how am I going to deal with this back and forth with my dad again? And I love what I'm doing with this Karen Hazi, although she's not paying me at that particular moment. That was like 2020. COVID struck in 2020. That was like before 2020 though. I felt like I was enjoying what I was doing at that particular time. So I came back to Nairobi. I made up my mind. I told my dad, if you're not really going to commit and pay for me these school fees, I have something else I'm interested in doing. And if you're not going to support, I told him, actually, I need you to support. This is what I want. I don't think I want to do projects. I want to work with projects. I don't think I want to continue with school anymore because whatever you're doing right now is a proof that you don't want. It's either you can't afford it or you have your reasons of not paying my school fees on time and my, upkeep. You're not telling me you want to stop engineering to go and do community projects. I don't even understand what that is. So the only agreement he was like, I'm going to support you do the community projects, but you must make sure you're in school. And I'm like, if that's the agreement, then fine. I can find a way to handle both. So now it fell out of hand when he failed to handle both. He himself, I'm sure he blames me for not continuing with the engineering school, but he's the one who literally, I think he ended up leaning more on projects because anytime I would tell him, I need to register my company, I need this and this and this. And it's like, well, how much do you need to register the company? It's like, there's the money, go register it. I remember the first person who ever gave me money to register my company was my dad. But then I didn't know the procedures of registering company and all that stuff. It was then, I don't think if by then, I met someone actually. I think they conned me about 28,000. I didn't know the procedures of registering a company. So I talked to a friend and then a friend introduced me to a friend and they both ate my money. Anyway, to cut the story short, my dad ended up leaning on the project side without knowing. The reason why he says, if I'm investing money in a project that I think is going to bring money, then that's okay. So then where is the love for education going? And that is a question I even asked him recently. What is happening, really? Because it's not just me. It's happening to my siblings. And you know what's happening. So what is really happening? What's the reason? Why do you get to some point you start delaying? He's very good at starting. I don't know. I think there's people who are like that. And then when it gets to some point, I don't know what really happens. I'm very sure the next time we meet, I'm going to ask him that question, really, like the way I'm asking you right now. What is happening? Please explain to me what is happening. So I have registered company. Of course, I have unemployment from my friends still. Well, this employment still, it's not like meeting my expectations of the month or how I'd like things to happen. So I'm wondering, what am I going to do next? But when you start a company, you have to tarmac proper. It was a struggle, by the way, because it was more of creating an art center where we are nurturing dance, art, drawing art, visual art, and performance art generally. So we got like a few gigs, clubs and events when we started nurturing the talents, paying for space. It was crazy. And I think it got me into some kind of depression. I think that's when I lost kind of a lot of weight. I'm not sure, but yeah. Because the income is not coming in. And the places I'm working with that I'm in partnership with, these guys are sending me invoices every month that I'm supposed to settle. I'm sending artists, some of the dancers, to concerts, and we keep repeating the same costumes. Yeah, so I'm like stressed with how I'm going to create this brand so that it can meet, the standard of what I'm looking. Sometimes when you're still young, you have a visual way of how you see how you want that thing to be done. So what happened in that process, I talked to my partner at that current moment. Then I tell them, we have to really look for an investor. And I'm telling you, Kenya, should I say Kenya or Nairobi? It's crazy. So we got an investor. And then this investor had 2 terms. This is a condition, Chika. You're giving me your person, I'm giving you money. Full stop. No. And I'm still new. Like, these are things that I have no idea happens, And I'm like, okay, is that the conditions? I'm asking my partner, are you okay with this particular thing? And she's like, I'm going to think about it. You know what? I don't know how she thought about it. I don't know whether it happened. What I know is the next day I got good money on my bank. But I'm pretty sure it happened. So I got and then I got the money, and then I was sitting in my corner. I was like, does it take everything from you, or this is just the beginning? Then it sank to me that this is just the beginning. Trust me, we are not with that partner anymore. But yeah, this guy did not even care about his money. He did not care because this guy just gave out the money. I just woke up and there was the money in my bank account. The mistake I made that time was, I think we were both young. Because whatever happened between them, I don't know. What I know is I got the money. So I registered them both. I had a best friend and I had my partner. And then I included both of them on my company papers. So the investment worked well. I traveled to Uganda. I had a conversation with my dad. We talked about entertainment business. My dad, literally, he invested in that machines, and I gave him a particular amount of money. He gave me what he had. And then we bought machines, a very big sound machine. Up to date, he keeps working with it, by the way. And now my dad is also, he loves entertainment. I think that's when I kind of approached him with the whole concept. He fell in love with it and then ended up leaning on it for getting school. I took this now not my best friend per se. He was a friend. He was an acquaintance, I would say, not a friend per se. So we go to Uganda, we purchase equipments, and then we work a plan out on how we are going to do tours, which countries we are going to start with. We outline everything. And in Uganda, because things are easier. But honestly, starting in Uganda, Tanzania, I feel like things are easier that side when you want to do things with the institution and stuff. So we map out everything and how we are going to approach everything. Kumbe, not knowing this partner of mine who is right by my side, this guy is just picking up ideas. This is how it works. Oh, this is how And I've taken you to my dad, man. All the way from Nairobi to my dad. So we are here. We have strategized. We've done the one event. We did one event with my dad's connection and all that stuff. We got MTN on the event. We got Pepsi guys in Uganda. My dad was super, super, super happy. And then I got dancers. So the dancers that were here, we went to. And then now the idea of the tour started sinking in, and they were super excited. So when we're looking at the calendar, we are like, wow, it's happening. It's happening. Remember, it's just before COVID. Things are picking up, and we are like happy. So we come back. And this is what happened. Because my dad gave a huge chunk of money for the tour, then now decision making started becoming a problem. I want the system for this particular county we are going to visit in Uganda. He wants it for another show he's hosting. He has already paid an artist. Then that is just how the tour started dangling down, and it never happened. And that is just how that failed. And then the Kenyan artists I was working with started not believing in me anymore, because I had already given my word to them, promised them this is the amount they're going to get from each tour. And yeah, things just started falling apart. The guy was picking ideas. Now the father, I don't know if I should disclose it, but the father is like an investor of some big hotel in Nairobi, very big hotels in Nairobi. So when they came back, I think they kind of observed a loophole in the idea. So instead of sharing with me, the father also invested with him. and they duplicated the whole project. Now that is one thing that I look at and I'm like, oh my guy, you just lost money like that. Because they duplicated the whole concept. Now the problem is it was not in them. The passion was in me. It was the whole idea was not in you. And then now he went and duplicated it with all that money. And now he just recently, when was it, last year, he texted me he's in the US, or his father got him unemployment, which means the project went just like that. So the experience with my partners afterwards, it was crazy, because then I broke up with my partner, and then like my friend who I had registered these two people in my business. So then after they left, like our life is not like, we are not on the same page anymore, because this one is out of the company. I had gone to duplicate my stuff. And then the guys who are supposed to like edit this stuff for me and get them off are like, I should send them a notification, which I send. They still need money from me. These guys don't want to leave the company, I think, because they feel maybe it could grow. They frustrated me for a very long time, to a point I had to register anyone now. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, whenever you will decide, the taxes of that shit I'm not going to handle. And then whenever you'll decide you want to leave, if they come for us for taxes, they'll come for all of us. So now COVID hit, and you know what that shit did to entertainment? Literally, like there was nothing. And then because of these things that are happening, you know, most of us, we are always like, you're still, the business just starting picking up. So Nikona, I have what to, I have what to stay on next month. I have rent. I have this for next month. So I'm good. I'll look for the other month, Then COVID happened. Within no time. So you see, during that time, I'm getting some money, I'm like, I'm not big. I should get into gym, get fit. Yeah, I would spend most of my time there because the business was frustrating. So I would spend most of my time in the gym just to train and feel better. And also I think that was like the beginning of 2020, because this whole concept started in 2018. If I can tell you, all this drama happened between 2 years. So I go to the gym 2019 or 20? I think 2019. I would go to the gym and do fitness and all. So COVID struck. The gyms were closed. The business is not doing well. I have nowhere to go and work out to feel okay. I'm living in a 2-bedroom house. 1 bedroom works as my office. The other one is just like... And I am literally the provider, because I'm not in any communication with none of my parents. So it got to a point I'm like, hey... We had a huge fight with my dad because of the concert thing, and then, him crossing me and stuff. I just went and called him. The first month, second month, I was good. Third month, fourth, and I'm like, this thing is still here with us. So we had an agreement with him. You're going to do this for the next whatever time it will be existing. But at least because commodities were still needed, So for him, yes, the business was happening, but a little low. So in COVID, I would say COVID literally shut me down. And now the fact that I was always indoors, so there was no room to keep coming up with ideas, executing them, and see if they can bring in more money. The guys I used to work for part-time for the studio, they closed the studio. So everything is just, everyone was on their own that time, I think. Yeah, everyone was their own. So what I did that time, okay, first things first, I think I switched houses real quick, which I thank God I did that on time. I sold off some stuff, switched to a smaller house. I think it was the best thing to do, because COVID lasted for like a year with us, And then after I did that, so I was just always indoors. There was nothing to do, really. There was really nothing to do. I think I also got sick, and I thought it was COVID. I got medication indoors. And then the best thing that happened during that time of COVID, my madam came back again. iPhone photography, Karen. She came back. After suffering for about 4-5 months, she came back. And they're like, hey, Chika, I need content for COVID in Kenya. Can you get that done? I'm like, yeah. Okay, send me waiver forms, send me contracts, send me all that. I'm like, Fuchs. So that is what held me through the COVID period. So she would just give me instruction of what she needed during that time of COVID. I would get to the street, get it shot, send it to her, and then she would send me money. And that is how I literally survived the COVID period. If I didn't talk to her like 2 years before, how would I have survived COVID-19? I don't know. But that was rescued me at that time. And then now gyms started picking up, yeah. Business started coming back to normal. I remember the first thing that happened, I was just from a local gym that was working against COVID rules. So I had trained, and then I'm walking through, this street, and then I see they're advertising a new gym is opening up. COVID rules are followed, blah, blah, blah. We are hiring and stuff. So I'm creating good content. I mean, I want to go and tell these guys I want to be their marketing person. I approached the owner. He's called Moses, a very, very good guy. I approached the owner. We talked, and then he's like, okay, come in, but come in and as a personal, as a trainer, and also as a marketer. So I'm doing two things for these guys, and I had no talent in personal training. That thing needs a calling. That one. Oh my God. So as I'm doing it, I actually had like some guys, not even ladies, guys who'd literally come to the gym and tell me, I'm just coming to work out because you're here. I come every day. Anytime I call you and you tell me you're here, that's when I come, because I know you're coming to give me a session. Whenever you tell me you're busy, I'm not coming. So I had one woman as a client and like 3 guys, which was amazing because I saw their transformation, which was amazing. And I was like, yeah, part-time, whenever I get stuck somewhere in life, I would do it, but it's not my drive. It's not what is calling me. So then as the business grew, these guys started looking for a marketer, and then I switched to the marketing department, and then they kind of made me the head of marketing department, which was a small facility. For me, I believe as a marketer, you're supposed to be flexible. That's how I believe. I can come to your business anytime as long as I do my deliverables. That's how I used to believe, because I was doing this stuff for these other people, so I know how it works. But then the manager just started frustrating me. I don't know how, I don't know why. And then it just started becoming hectic. And one day, I don't know what happened, because I'm working part-time. Remember, I have my project called Tooth Concepts. I have my project. I have to give it attention. So I have to come in for 4 hours, 5 hours, and leave, go attend to my projects. So when I come in, that particular day, I was not feeling well a day before. It had rained crazy. I was not feeling well. And then this guy's like, I should come to the gym by 5 a.m. To do what? I'm a marketer. To do what 5 a.m. in the morning? If it's content, I strategize for content. If it's graphics, I know when I'm supposed to deliver that. What am I coming to do at your gym at 5 a.m.? Because I already told you I'm coming in to do the other session, this particular hour. And then the next day I come in and he calls me to the office and he starts complaining. And he had gotten, I had had enough. I went to the next room. I printed a resignation letter without caring about the 21 notice, and I gave it to him. I told him I've had enough. And I'm telling you, God has his reasons for just getting some of us in some frustrating spaces. That same day I left that facility, I remember I went partying at a local club. As I was partying, a friend of my current partner saw that I work with fitness industries, and she's like, you need to apply. You need to talk to these guys. I'm like, yeah, I should. So I apply. No response. Because I need, as much as I have a project, I always know I need, because look, I have like 12 hours in a day. If I get a job, it's probably going to take 6 hours. What am I doing the rest 6 hours? So I always want like most of my time blocks in a day to be preoccupied. I reach out to these guys and they're like, come. Oh, they call me back. Actually, no, the girlfriend of the owner of the gym tells me, what you need to do is come down to the facility and just talk to the owners. I'm like, I'm coming down. So I went down to the facility. Then I found a very arrogant manager. He was the manager at the particular moment. The guy said, no, we don't need you. We have a marketing agency already doing all the job. I'm like, wow. So I leave. I was pretty disappointed. And then I left. I went home. I was like, where am I really going to get a job? Because this is what I love doing. I need to put it in practice. If I don't, trust me, creation, if you don't put it in practice, it's just, okay, we have all those our ups and downs of the days when you're super excited to create, the days you're super sad to create. So yeah, I went back home and I really don't know what happened with that marketing agency. I honestly don't know. But what I remember is the owner called me in a week later and he told me, I need to see what you can do. So script it down, come up with a concept, come up with an idea, just do it and deliver it. So I was supposed to come up with a graphic newsletter and a reel. I came up with all this within 48 hours. And then we met again and it's like, okay, we are in business. We signed a contract for the first 3 months, and it was just like, when you're starting, you don't have those big goals and ambitions. So it was just like small. I'm like, it's okay. I have something going on. With time, they'll see my capabilities and we'll get there. 6 months later, the agency is now gone fully. They're out. Because before they were like handling the newsletters and stuff and email marketing and stuff. Within 3 months, they were gone. So I was like, I need to take a course in marketing. And then I did. So as I'm working for these guys, I'm also like learning behind the scenes and stuff, getting to learn Adobe product, all those softwares, getting to understand them deeper. And within 6 months, this guy just made me head of his marketing team. And he's like, you need to work with my consultancy firm. And he works with like fitness gyms in Kuwait, Dubai, all around the world. Like literally, I look up to this guy. He's basically my mentor. That was amazing for me. And it was just, boom, my life changed like that. Because then I'm now in a high-end setup where I get to talk about my project, where my own employer hires my own team for entertainment stuff. This guy is supporting what I'm doing. He's introducing me to people who are literally buying the concept. So basically, for him, the introduction happening in 2021 was just the perfect thing for me. So now I'm in this new space with these new guys, okay? The artists I used to work with in 2018, 19, they're asking me, Chika, what is happening? When I was getting into this space, honestly, it was crazy because it was so demanding that I didn't have time to, do the write-ups, projects, attend the conferences and all that stuff. So I'm looking at my schedule and it's crazy. I have to also work out because this guy, but if you don't work out, don't be part of my team. So I'm part of this amazing team. My people that used to work with me, that lost hope when the tour didn't happen, reach out to me. And this is the time where I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you just have to let something chill for it to work. So I literally took a break from the project because I was going crazy, thinking about the project, thinking about the company, I'm like, this is just, and then the lady for iPhone photography, I'm still producing for iPhone photography. So it's just too much for me at that particular moment. So I said, it's iPhone photography and marketing for this brand, full stop. I'm taking a whole break because I can't employ someone now. I need to make sure that money is flowing in good. So I took a long break. And I think these guys were following up. And they were following up and stuff, and then they're like, they reached out, these guys, and they're like, hey Chika, we want to meet you. There were 3. We want to meet you. I'm like, okay, that's new, considering how you guys left in 2019 complaining, I'm not a good person to work with. Now life has taught them that people do go through shit, and when people go through shit and they share with you, it's respectful, man. I'm going through shit. I've called you guys here and I'm sharing. It's not like I just went MIA, So these guys have a meeting. And I called them. Actually, they came to that reason, the office I'm working for right now. And they came and then we had a meeting. And we discussed everything. They told me, Tusk was a big thing. Please bring it up. Bring it back. We need it. As artists, we need it. Bring it back. I had taken I think 1 year break. And I'm looking at these guys and I ask myself one question on that particular moment. These guys, they were a product of this thing. And now they're reaching out. They were a product and they left. Now they came back. Meaning they saw value. What could bring them back anyway? Maybe I should do it. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe. So I went home thinking about it. As I was thinking about it, and I was just, seated, I was like, I think I should come up with a concept, bring back the artist. So I reached out to my lead artist then. And I asked him, do you want to still work with me or you got someone else to work with? And he's like, Chika, I don't trust people. And if it's not you, I've never worked with any other person. I'm like, I need you back. I need to bring Tusk back. I need to bring the concept back and I need you to bring everybody back. So then we start and we're like, okay, we mapped everything out. This is what we are going to do. And then that is how he also shared with the climate change for, the matatus that are all drawn climate for change and stuff. And then he shared what he has been doing. I was like, shit, I've not been part of all that. And he's like, it has not been easy. You really need to come back. I'm like, okay, fine. So we had a meeting. And when we had a meeting, we discussed. And then we said, just like initially I told you, I have this thing of coming up with ideas and names for a project. Then we had no idea the name of documentary. All of a sudden, it's Growth of an African Child documentary series. Now we need a name for this project. I'm like, Just give it a name. Art for Change, whatever. Art for Change tour. And then you're like, yeah, we should do an Art for Change tour. And then we started, listing out the counties that we would need to visit. What are we going to address? How are we going to present this concept to these community members? Then we hit Nakuru. On our way to Nakuru, we spoke to the local leaders. We spoke to the kanjos, because borrowing some of these walls, you need to speak to these guys. And then we had all the whole city painted. Stop drug abuse. And then it was during voting period, so vote in peace, all that stuff. And then we came back to Nairobi. We're like, that was cool. We need to do another one. So yeah, but it's a lot of expense. So I'm like, this time there's no money, because the business has not been working for 1 year. So I'm like, it's okay. Now I can afford it. This is not 2019 where I was, now I can do it. Present me the most affordable budget, and then I'll take care of it. And then they'll present them, like, give them to me. We will just make sure we keep our records well. So when the business brings in money, I get paid back. It's as simple as that. And that's how we started working. So, and they saw like, oh, now we have someone. You understand? Trust me, for us young people, we have all these challenges when it comes to building business. But the least, when you can do something small for someone. I remember my lead artist, there was a time the stepsister was going through some GBV. And that is even when we even did a mural on GBV, gender-based violence. So it's always something, sometimes it's something that we are going through, or something that someone shares. Within no time, he took back the siblings, and everything was in place. So I just felt like sometimes things happen so that you can be built enough to handle whatever it's bringing or whatever it's going to come with. In 2021, before the year ended, boom, I was elected the best founder of the year in Africa by, I think, 4 years or something. I was like, okay, this is like a sign we should continue doing this. And then after 1 year later, we are winning a grant. I'm like, whoa, this is big. So generally for me, I would say, if it was not for this artist coming back, I wouldn't have had the drive. So sometimes just, do what you can, because you really don't know how it's impacting someone's life. And right now we are doing massive stuff. I mean, PP Global, planned parenthood in, like, literally, this is global stuff. And we are the branch in Kenya. I mean, it's big, working with Idea Initiative, working with NILAB. It's just amazing. It's big for us. And then we did a mural on, dignity, freedom, and justice for everyone. Oh, so anybody who is starting business, NGO, or community projects, first of all, I would prefer, for young people, if you're even starting a non-profit, these things, to some extent for me, they start at a profit level. I don't like going to someone and telling them, I'm running an NGO, this is a non-profit organization. No, because we are giving these artists a system. And at the end of the day, they're bringing in money for the organization. You're coming in and investing. Of course, you have to expect, where's my investment going to? You could invest as maybe someone who is this, charity case, but still, it's not charity case per se, because you're building sustainability for someone. And if only we can do that, I think they always say, find that one solution you can do and just focus on it. But business is a lot. It's full of ups and downs. Sometimes you just don't want to wake up. Sometimes you just go to bed with the bad news of your life. But how you sit down, digest it. I remember I used to be very bad at that. An investor would take me some crap and I would just text back immediately. So whatever it is that is coming at you, that is something that I've been learning for the past, a couple of months. Just take it in fast. Take your time. Take your time to approach it. Business is as usual. It's just, it's like you're giving birth to a baby. This baby needs to be fed and fed and fed, and you're going to always notice problems, challenges and stuff. So it's the way you feed and feed and feed is what determines how it's going to grow. Because if you just keep feeding it negativity, then your plant won't grow. If you're going to feed it a lot of positivity, despite the challenges, they will always be part of our lives. Always. So it's just generally, how do you approach it? How do you take your time to approach it? What type of nutrients are you watering to that baby plant of yours, organization, project, whatever it is?
Catch more African stories in the next episode of Legally Clueless. I hope you enjoyed Chika's story and I hope that you found it pretty inspiring. You know, one of the things that stuck with me was how sometimes you pause a project because you think you're done with it, but it's really just the universe wanting you to wait and possibly grow certain things or wait for certain people to come closer to your path. Does that make sense? I don't know. I always find that the universe's timing is always right. And I've seen it with my work and my career. There's years I've wanted to do things. So like when the year is just beginning, I'm like, this year I'm going to do A, B, C, D, And then when the year ends and I haven't done them, I feel some type of way. And 2-3 years down the line, I end up achieving that specific thing in a bigger or more impactful or more efficient way. And then I'm like, that's why it didn't happen that first year when I wanted it to. I think another thing that struck me from her story is like, I've always been a believer in different types of marriages. So whether it's monogamous or open or whatever it is, I feel like whatever works for you, it works for you. And as long as all the parties are kind of like onboarded, for me, it speaks to somebody having done the inner work to know exactly who they are, where or what environment they're comfortable in, and you can't really hate on that. But one thing that I do know is like the kids, there will always be a need to be super intentional about it, because like now in a situation where that is polygamous, like what is the interaction between the kids and like how do you, it's almost like people management, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's the part where I'm just like, that could be a bit tricky. But hey, I really enjoyed recording Chika's story and even just listening to somebody using their art, their passion, and to build community first and foremost with other artists, and then to see what projects they can build from that. That was really inspiring to the poet in me, just trying to see, okay, so there is room for art and art can bring about change. So if you want to connect with her, because they are currently in April launching a very powerful project, or maybe you just want to see the type of work they do, I've put a link to their Instagram page in the show notes. It's called Tisk Entertainment. Yeah, make sure you check it out and connect with Chika there as well. And if you're listening and you want to share your story on this podcast, we are in story recording season, which is so exciting. Last week, I recorded some powerful stories. This week, I have some lined up as well. And I'd love you to be one of the people that I meet. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. We can also record stories virtually. If you're African, we want to hear your story. All you have to do is fill out our storyteller form. A link to that is in the show notes. And yeah, we will get back to you. Just be a bit patient because there are quite a few people who want to share their stories and we want to get back to each and every one. Also remember that you can catch this podcast on Trace FM here in Kenya. Just go to traceradio.co.ke to stream. You can find us there on Mondays and Wednesdays at 1 p.m. and 11 p.m. and Fridays at 1 p.m. Don't forget to sign up to join our community on our website so that you can be updated on our upcoming workshop, upcoming group therapy session. Just head over to legallycluelessafrica.com. All right, let me leave you. I really want to have a nice chilled afternoon. Movie day. I want to make some popcorn. Hopefully when it starts raining, my electricity won't go, which is strange. So that's a normal thing for us in Kenya. Like, what the hell? As you can feel, I'm in a really good mood. So I hope that sips onto you. And I just hope you have a beautiful week until the next episode. I hope you have a week that's drenched in love and in grace. And yeah, I'm really thankful that you're part of this family. I wanted to say toodles, and then I was just like, toodles? So not gangster. Peace out. That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.